Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I will be talking here about some reasons it could be useful for you to subscribe to my channel. The best metaphor to describe my life is that of a mendicant. I have been begging all my life, sometimes even for money itself, but other times for just someone to talk to me, someone to understand me, someone to value me, which happened here and there very rarely with some few exceptions, some few people with a little bit more of goodwill to talk to me. But mostly people used to think that as I have this diagnosis of schizophrenia, they have better things to do, more interesting people to talk to. Life is just one, and they cannot waste their lives talking to me. I am this very unpleasant person who's always playing the victim. So in a general way, they have better things to do. And leaving me behind is no problem for them in a general way. So my life was very difficult because the diagnosis allows people to despise me in a general way. And I was deeply despised. Even when I complain about the despise, I am, as I said, playing the victim and being despised once again, right? Let alone the internations, let alone the heavy medicines I had to take. Few people know the effect of these medicines. They think we're taking something like an orange juice, and it is not. The effect of these medicines is terrible, right? But again, if you complain with just playing the victim, and playing the victim comes to be a symptom of schizophrenia itself. One more reason people do not talk to you is because you are complaining about the medicines, and you shouldn't do that because that makes you even more schizophrenic. So it's difficult, very difficult, because we live into this hedonistic society where the interesting is the number one. So having interesting things to do at night, a theater play, a movie, a dinner, or whatever, is much more important for many people than paying some solidarity to a person who is in suffering, right? So it is a cruel diagnosis. People don't believe you anymore. People don't consider you anymore. If you have cancer, there's a lot of solidarity, right? And so forth. There's many diseases. You have a lot of solidarity. But if you have schizophrenia, then you simply are this boring person, this person who has nothing to contribute to the conversation, this person who's not interesting at all, you see? And this person who is not really suffering because this person is more acting, this person is more uh, trying to move our hearts into him, and he's not really suffering. He's doing something else, and he is this very upsetting person, and we don't need to waste our time with this person in a general way, right? People have better things to do, and that makes the life of the person with schizophrenia this constant begging, not only for money, because people with schizophrenia also worry about money. You see, it's not that we are complete idiots and we don't care about our future. We do care about our future. We do notice we don't have a job, and that may result in financial problems. We do know all of this, right? But not only this, even the more basics of our existence: mutual respect, friendship, warm, warmness. So this, this is uh, this is what happens. The diagnosis allows people to despise you, right? So what is the solace during all this time? in my life. I said there were here and there one or another person who was in a disposition to talk to me, but very few. The true solace in my life was God. As oddly as it may seem, God was the best companion in my life. Even if I didn't notice, He was the best companion. The only true companion, I would say. He doesn't solve all my problems, He doesn't. But He provides me some company, some comfort, some tranquility quite often. The more I feel God into my life, the stronger I feel, and the less I have to beg for attention, for money, whatever. So God allows me to have some freedom in this deep suffering of mendicancy. You see? And this channel of mine is pretty much to share with you this idea. If you feel like in your life there is no mundane solution to your problems, if you feel like only God can help you, maybe you like my channel, right? God is the companion of the broken heart. God is the companion of the lonely. Maybe you also feel a little bit like a schizophrenic in your own life. Perhaps you don't have this diagnosis, but for some other reason, people also despise you. For some other reason, you also feel like a beggar. How do you feel like a beggar? It is when you cannot be yourself. It is when you cannot express your true feelings. It is when you have to act all the time in order to please people, in order to beg to people that they give you a minute of their attention or a cent of their wallets. Right? If you're not allowed to be yourself, if you have always to act like this or that, only to please people, that is mendicancy. So my whole life was like this, always having to act, always having to say what people wanted me to say, and never being able to be truly authentic. I was given some opportunities here and there, but they all turned to be just just acting to try to move people to help me. I could never say the things I truly believed. It was always this effort to try to make people understand that I was worth talking to, that I could be also a friend, a companion, a good person, that I could also be helpful, that I could also say interesting things. That I was also an adult, I would say, not a child, but an adult. For many people in schizophrenia, that is the drama. They feel like children. So people don't talk to them because they are children. They feel like this. I also felt like this in my life. Although I'm not really a child, but for some people it may seem. You see? And as I said at the onset of this video, there is that scene that we pray the victims, right? This speech I can have to the screen of this computer, but I cannot have this speech with many people around because that would be to play the victim. And that will be in itself a symptom of schizophrenia. You see, which would, at the end of the day, allow them to give me even more medicine. And that's the vicious cycle you are into, right? Because the medicine will make you even worse, make you even less sociable, even less capable of interacting well with people, and that unleashes more medicine and more. You see, it's a vicious cycle, a trap, very difficult to escape from. So, having a diagnosis of schizophrenia may be very complicated. Quite often it is, because people don't understand. It's weird. They don't understand. They feel like we are God knows what. So usually a child, I would say. For many people with schizophrenia are children, but not only children, children who cause problems, children who have outbreaks, children who become aggressive, children who are immoral many times. So that worsens very much the situation because not only being children is enough, there's worse stuff there. Sometimes we're evil people also. So even if you haven't done anything truly evil in your life, maybe all you have done is just that one day you decided to walk naked on the street. Maybe there are studies that show that people with schizophrenia are much more likely to suffer violence than to do violence. But these studies are pretty much useless because for many people, I am this boring guy who just plays the victim and who should abide to take all the medicine the doctors prescribe to him and do everything people ask him to do and in a general way to shut up. Right? The best thing you do is to shut up. Do what a psychiatrist says, do what a psychologist says, and do not bother me anymore. More or less like that. Right? So but it's difficult to convey to you all the despise that comes along with the diagnosis of schizophrenia. But there's a lot of despise that comes with it. And it's very difficult to withstand. So that was why I make this comparison to mendicant. Because you're outcast. You're put outside of society. And you have to struggle a lot to feel inside. And to feel inside, quite often you lie. You see, that's what I'm talking about. You have to lie. You're not allowed to be yourself. I am not allowed to have this conversation here to people around me here because that would be, as I said, you're playing the victim. This speech of yours is just a symptom of schizophrenia, right? There's no truth. There's no authenticity in your speech. None at all. This speech is just a symptom of schizophrenia, and you're bothering us. You're bothering us because you're accusing us of not being supportive to you. Stop accusing us of not being supportive to you, something like that. This is what I would have as an answer. That I am being unfair to those around me. That people around me have supported me, and I am this person who is not thankful for the support they gave me. You should be thankful. That's another phrase that often comes. You should be thankful, right? And sometimes, quite often, most of the times, what I want to say is just this kind of stuff that I'm telling to you now. You see? This conversation here, quite often, most of the times, it's just this kind of conversation I'd like to have, but I cannot have that, right? I gave many talks about schizophrenia, and I'm talking to you now about the side effects of the medicines, for example. I was not allowed to speak of that. I am not still allowed to speak about that because that is a subject pertaining only to doctors. You see, we can't even speak about the medicine because only doctors can speak about the medicine. You see? So, at the end of the day, the only solace was God. And that's what I share with you, right? If you feel, as I said, if you feel like mundane answers are not enough for you in your life, if you look for God, for example, or some kind of spirituality, you are in the right channel. Thank you for listening to me, and if you liked these opinions, please subscribe here below.